Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to this week's edition of On the Mark, Straight Talk Across the Narrows. I am Troy Libert and I will be your host for this evening's show. 2 hours of uninterrupted talk radio. You know, that can't be understated. There's so many shows that's all over the media, but it's never uninterrupted. Those shows go to commercial breaks and so on, but On the Mark is 2 hours of uninterrupted talk radio. Here we come week after week to bring something to the public that we believe is important, that we believe is of substance, and even more important than that, it's an opportunity for you out there in the general public from wherever you are, be it within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, here on the island of Nevis itself, or out there in the diaspora. It provides an opportunity for you to call in, put your topics on the table, or to call in and comment on anything that is being discussed. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to mix and mingle and to talk with each other and share our different views. That is what On the Mark provides, and we love it here on the Mark. We certainly like to hear from you every week. Of course, at the top of the hour, at the top of this show, we always like to welcome those persons who week after week tune into On the Mark. On the Mark is a staple for so many people. There are persons outside the Federation who would call me and they say, you know, On the Mark is the way that I stay connected with what's happening on Nevis, what's happening on the home front, and we are so happy that we can provide that medium, that we can provide that avenue for people to keep in contact with what's happening here, excuse me, on the home front. So what do we have for you tonight? I think it's going to be a wonderful show. So many things happening here within the Federation. Of course, we're coming up to Good Friday and Easter, and quite a lot happening there, but we all know what the story is behind Good Friday and behind Easter. We are a Christian society. We're still a Christian society, and therefore it must not be lost on us the importance of Easter, the importance of the sacrifice that was made some 2,000 plus years ago by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on the cross. And that is the reason for Good Friday, and that's the whole reason for Easter. So in all our celebrating, in all that we are going to do over this upcoming weekend, we should take some time out to give thanks and take some time out to reflect on the sacrifices that were made on our behalf. So I think we should take a little time out to do that. Certainly there's a lot happening in the Federation. I also want to take the opportunity at the top of the show to send out condolences to those families who have suffered loss over the past few weeks. I know last week the Honorable Brantley would have hosted the show, and a few of us would have popped in on the show to give our memories and share some memories about the Honorable Vance Amory, who would have passed away, I think, 2 Saturdays ago. And it came as a shock to most of us. Certainly it came as a shock to me. I was deep in my sleep when I got a call, I think sometime before 4 a.m. in the morning, and when I was told that Mr. Amory had passed away, I took a few minutes asking the person if they were serious. So a lot of us still trying to cope with that, and we have a lot of fond memories of him. I certainly have a lot of memories of him. I've known him since I was a little boy. I mean, I grew up in Nevis, and most persons around my age who grew up in Nevis would know of the Honorable Vance Amory. I had the opportunity to interact with him on several occasions. As a youngster in high school, I had the opportunity to play cricket against him, and every now and again, coming into adulthood and me becoming a part of his government in 2013, we would sit down, and when we had a little time to joke, we would talk about cricket, because as we all know, he was a lover of cricket, and I used to play a lot of cricket back in my school days. I'd like to think, in my own mind at least, that I was pretty good, and so we had a particular encounter. I think it was in the park. We had a particular encounter where I was the bowler and Premier Amory was the batsman, and he hit me over the park for 6, and I came back on the next ball and he tried to hit me for 6 again, and I got him caught on the boundary. And so for many years after that, we always used to joke about that incident. And I felt really good as a youngster, because he was the premier at the time, so I felt really good going back to school saying I got the wicket of the premier. And he made me feel good, because he came over to me after the game was finished, and he gave me a nice embrace and some words of encouragement and so on. And as a youngster, you feel good getting that from somebody who is up there and is premier and so on. And that's one of the things about Vance that I really admired and tried to emulate at times. He had this very charming personality, and he had this way of, no matter who you are, being very approachable to you, and he could talk to people and so on. So that's just one of the many personal stories that I have about him. So certainly he would be somebody who the whole of St. Kitts Nevis would miss, and in particular us here in Nevis would miss a lot. So condolences going out to the family again, and I'm sure that as things progress, we would all have an opportunity, whether through memorial or whatever the case may be, to share our condolences and so on with the family, and share our stories about a man who was a great man, a giant here on the island of Nevis, and who would have impacted pretty much the lives of everybody here on the island of Nevis. He would have led the island from 92 up until 2006, and then again from 2013 up until 2017 as premier, but would have been in active politics since 1987 all the way up to 2017, when he decided to step away from active politics. He then took up the role as an ambassador representing the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and did that up until his passing. So he was somebody who really liked to serve people and to serve the country. So certainly he would be missed. He's also the founder, one of the founders of the Concerned Citizens Movement, and would have been the person to lead the Concerned Citizens Movement into government and serve a long time as a premier leading the Concerned Citizens Movement. And of course, that I'm a member of the Concerned Citizens Movement. I currently serve as the chairman, the sitting premier in Nevis now, the Honorable Brantley. He is a leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement, and so Vance was CCM and CCM was Vance, and we are all now products of that, and we continue to put people first. That is what we do. We continue to serve people. That's what we are about. So condolences to everybody who is feeling bad about that. That's what life is all about. Of course, where there are lows, we also have highs, and I want to send a shout out to all those persons who are celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, whatever the occasions are that we're celebrating. Here at On The Mark, we want to celebrate with you. One of the good things about social media social media has a lot of good things. It also has a lot of negatives too, because you know, we're gonna talk about one of those a little bit later on in the show, and I'm sure people are gonna call in to talk about that one. One of the negatives of social media. Everything you do goes viral nowadays. But one of the good things about social media is that we get to learn a lot more about each other. When people celebrate their birthday and their anniversary, the birth of a child, everybody is putting up stuff on Facebook and Instagram, or if you're on WhatsApp, they're putting them up on their WhatsApp status and so on. And so you get to learn a lot more about people than you would have known if there was no social media. Because in terms of birthdays and so on, we would have mediums such as Van Radio, who would bring out the birthday greetings in the morning. But nowadays you have people doing their fancy photo shoot and so on, and it goes out on Facebook, and you know, the day before the birthday they release 2 photos, and then the day of the birthday they release 2 more photos, and this thing goes on for a week and a half in some cases, depending on how elaborate people want to be with their celebrations. And so that's a good thing about social media. People get to express themselves, and you don't have to get on the television, or you don't have to be here on radio to express yourself and to get a following, to develop a following, and to have people see you and have people able to celebrate with you. So one of the good things about social media is being able to reach a lot of people, and to be able to know what's going on with our people. So a lot of times I would go on Facebook, and I'll see all the folks who are celebrating and so on. I'd get to drop a comment and so on and say happy birthday. Perhaps if I didn't realize that today was a particular person's birthday, you see it on Facebook. So I want to encourage people to use social media, but use it responsibly. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost 15 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour. So what's happening in Nevis for this coming weekend? I know we have the big kite flying competition, because Good Friday is coming up, and Good Friday is a big thing here in Nevis, and we normally have the kite flying competition on the flats in Coal Hill. This year we are happy to have the SJCIC, St. John's Community Improvement Club, come back on board. Of course, we know that they were the ones who started this whole kite flying thing on the flats, and we're happy to have them back on board this year to carry out the event. They took a little hiatus last year. They weren't able to do it, and through a partnership with the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Education, we were able to come in, fill the gap, and to keep the event going last year. But we're very, very happy that the club is back this year. They're the ones hosting the event, and we were very happy at the NIA, through the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Tourism, to partner with the SJCIC and to be the major sponsor of the event. Of course, I know there are many other sponsors from within the St. John's community, and also from around Nevis as a whole. And so I want to invite persons to come on out on Friday. Of course, it starts at 1 p.m. and it goes right down until the evening. I heard from some of the guys who normally make kites, and they told me that they have been preparing. I want to say that the prizes for this year, that the prize money has gone up a little bit higher. I'm not going to announce it on the radio tonight, but I am saying that the prize money is going to be a little bit higher than what it normally is. So fellas, you have a day or two left that you can do some sprucing up and topping up on your kites to make sure that they are in the best possible condition. If you feel like you want to do a new kite, you can do a new kite. Stay up all night Thursday night and make that kite. When I was a youngster, I feel good saying that, you know. Sometimes you can't take yourself too seriously, but I feel good saying that. when I was a youngster and I was into making kites for competition, I would hardly ever sleep on the Thursday night before Good Friday, because I always had something to do. I always had some last minute kite that I wanted to get done. My competition kite, if I needed to make kites for other family members, cousins and so on, I would get those out of the way before, and then coming into the last week before Good Friday, I would spend some time on the competition kite that I would want to make. And if I was making a really, really big kite, which I used to do a lot of those 7 feet and 8 feet and 9 feet tall kites, I would make those the night before the competition. So I would stay up all night doing that kite, and I know that a lot of the guys around the kite making, they stay up all night, and then they probably get an hour sleep in the morning, and then they're up to go out on the flats and fly the kite. So the prices are going to be a bit higher this year. The categories for the competition, we're going to have the biggest kite, best flying kite, best design kite, most creative kite, best book leaf kite. The registration fee to enter is $5, and we're going to have cash prizes for first, second and third. I know traditionally we would do prizes for first and second, but this year we're doing prizes for first, second and third, and the prizes are bigger than what they would normally be. So fellows, young ladies, if you believe that you can make kite, come on out and bring your kite. And if you can't make kite, go buy one of those, buy a kite, bring the kite on the flats, you might just win. I've seen persons buy a kite and they go over on the flats and they win best flying. They win the person who actually made the kite. So you can go on out. I think my good friend Arthur Farrell up in Church Ground, Cabbage, he has a lot of kites to sell. And my good cousins in Panhill, Boogie and Teacher Reed, they have been making kites for weeks now. They have a lot of kites up there to sell, so you can get in contact with them. And I think Gino Liebert, I'm not sure if he's selling, but he normally has a lot of good kites, so you can also contact him and get your kites for Good Friday. I'm looking here for another big event that I know is going to happen over the weekend. And if you all have your events, you could send them to me. Oh yes, here we go. We have the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, who is going to be having what he calls a 2-in-1 Easter weekend. He's going to be having a cricket event and a domino event, and these are happening on Saturday the 16th and on Sunday the 17th. Let me see if I can get this correct. So for the domino competition, the first place is $1,500, second place is $800, third place $500, fourth place $300. They have a lot of places here for domino. From first place to fourth place, that's a lot of money being spent. Lots of money that you can win in this domino tournament coming up this coming Saturday and Sunday. And the cricket competition, first place $1,200, second place $600, third place $300, and fourth place $200. So if you believe that you could play domino, go on out, get registered. You might be able to win some money. It's $60 per team for registration for the dominoes. For the cricket, it's free registration. You can contact Wendell Micey Wallace for the cricket, and you can contact Kurt Kilogrant for the domino tournament. So that's this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We have the big domino tournament that's happening, and I believe we have some drag racing that's supposed to be happening this weekend. And I have somebody here telling me they wanted 10 minutes to come and talk about the drag racing. So if he is listening, he could come, or he can send me the flyer and I'll talk about the drag racing that's supposed to happen this weekend. I believe I believe that the drag racing is all weekend. I'm looking for the flyer and I can't seem to find the drag racing flyer. Okay, I found the flyer for the drag racing. Well, this drag racing taking up the whole weekend. So we have Car Fest, and Car Fest is happening this weekend. It starts from Friday and it goes all the way down until Monday. So on Friday, April 15th, there is what they call Park and Lime Tune and Testing Day, and this will be hosted by none other than Woodis. On Saturday the 16th, there's testing and qualification. They're gonna have New Level and the core band. Lots of drinks and lots of food to eat. That's on Saturday. On Sunday, we have races happening on the Sunday. There's going to be Rec Life music, Rec Life movement, and the Grandmasters band. So on Sunday, we have all of the racing happening, and we have the Rec Life movement and the Grandmasters band on Sunday. And then on Monday, they're going to have cool down day. You can bring out the kids. They're going to have bouncing castle and trampolines for the kids. And that's happening at the St. James Raceway. So bring the family out. Oh, and I did not even realize this is sponsored by the Honorable Spencer Brand. That's wonderful. It's good to see colleague Minister Honorable Spencer Brand sponsoring this big Car Fest. So it's the SKN Drag Racing Association presents Car Fest, sponsored by none other than the Honorable Spencer Brand, and it's happening at the St. James Raceway. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So every day there is going to be something for you. On Fridays, Park and Lime, testing and tuning, and you will have Woodies for entertainment. On Saturday, testing and qualification, you have New Level Sound and the core band. On Sunday, you have the racing, you have Rec Life, and you have Grandmasters. And on Monday, you have the cool down day. You have bouncing castle and trampoline and so on for the children. So don't miss it. Certainly, you can take some time to go out to the St. James Raceway sometime over the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to On the Mark, straight talk across the hours. It is now 25 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour, and we've been doing a bit of advertising. So now let's get into a little bit of the talking. Of course, when the lines are open, the numbers to call will be 869-469-1616 or 869-469-1700. So what's been happening in the Federation? We have quite a lot happening in the Federation. Of course, we know tomorrow is a big day. Today I was listening to another radio station, and the DJ spent about a half an hour going on and on about this big meeting that's supposed to happen tomorrow. So of course we have that happening, and that of course is a big thing. Today I was somewhat pleased that I got some news going out on the media earlier this afternoon. And when I saw the news, I saw the flyer, and the flyer said more money for Nevis. PM Harris approves Premier Brantley's request. So there's a flyer going around that's saying that there's more money coming for Nevis from the proceeds of the citizenship by investment, and that's a good thing, because we have been talking about that, you know. I don't know if the more money that's coming is going to add up to fair share as yet, but it is a step in the right direction. Okay? And any step in the right direction is something that we appreciate, and it is something that we can applaud. So I saw the headline, and the headline said that the Prime Minister has given in some sort of cabinet brief. I would assume that happened on Monday, and that he would have indicated to the media or the press or whomever that more money is coming for Nevis. And lately there has been a lot of talk about this money thing, especially coming from the corner of the opposition here on the island of Nevis, which is the NRP. And every time I hear the talk coming from the opposition, I often marvel to myself, and I think to myself, this is something that these people really want to talk about. Because when you really look at it, and you look at NRP being in government in Nevis and the representation that they gave to the people of Nevis, it was very poor, if we could put it in a nice way. I'm looking for a nice word to use, and I've come up with the word poor. The representation was very poor, because during their tenure from 2006 to 2012, the end of 2012, January 2013, however you want to call it, we weren't able to get much out of CBI. CBI started making quite a bit of money around 2008, and that's when the NRP was in government here in Nevis. And of course we had the Labour government in St. Kitts, who they were the ones promoting the CBI. And then in 2010 the NRP went into a coalition government with the Labour government in St. Kitts, forming the federal government. And all that time, monies were pouring into the federation through CBI, and most of the money was staying in St. Kitts. I recall when we did the research on this after getting into government back in 2013. I took a lot of time to dissect the whole CBI business to see what was really happening. And when I did it, the first time I really dug deep into it, the thing gave me headache for days. I had headache for days, because I realized that not only did we have monies coming into the SIDF, hundreds of millions of dollars annually coming into SIDF, I realized that some monies were going directly to the government, and those were termed as processing fees. And what I realized was, from the SIDF monies, that NRP was able to get a few loans here and there, and a little bit of money here and there, totaling to about $39 million over the years that they were in and Labour was in. And I realized that all of those came from SIDF. But out of the processing fees that went directly to the government, I realized that they never, ever saw 1 penny of the money. Not even $1 of that had ever come over to Nevis. And if these were sales from, our citizenship through the investment program, you would think that, to be fair, man, that a little bit of money should have come over to Nevis. And during that time, we never, as people living in Nevis, we never heard one peep. We never heard one sentence. We never heard one word out of the NRP about this money, saying, well, we're working on getting some of it, we're not getting it and we're not satisfied. The people of Nevis never, ever got an ounce of representation from NRP on that matter. And I found that to be very disturbing. I found it to be particularly disturbing that while they never got even $1 of that processing fee money that they never came out and they never complained and they never said anything. Now CCM coming into government at that time, CCM decided that we are here to represent the people of Nevis. And if there are monies coming into the Federation, and the federal government is going to have access to this money to do things on St. Kitts for the people living on St. Kitts, then the NIA must have some access to this money also, so that we can do things for the people living here on Nevis. Because the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is made up of St. Kitts and Nevis. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is not St. Kitts alone, and then Nevis being some afterthought. When we have federal elections, we go out to vote, and St. Kitts people go out to vote in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And in Nevis, we go out to vote in 11, 10, and 9. And I said it that way deliberately, because the fellas up in my area in Coal Hill, they tell me whenever you speak, say 9 last. We like when you say 9 last. So in Nevis, we vote in 11, 10, and 9. Now, how could it be fair that from the proceeds of the sale of our passport, the sale of our citizenship, that people from 1 to 8 must be represented and have a full share, but people from 11 to 9 shouldn't have a full share? That can't be right. And the CCM have said that from the beginning, that it cannot be right. NRP being in government, we castigated NRP for that. We said that they sat in a coalition with Labour, got nothing, and said nothing. And the people of Nevis agreed with us. And so fast forward to Unity now being in government. Unity being the People's Action Movement, the Concerned Citizens Movement, and the People's Labour Party being in government. At the heart of that, we said that Nevis deserves a fair share. But we have been good partners. We have sat down with our partners and St. Kitts, and we have tried to make it work. But the Premier, being the man that he is, in sitting there, week after week, month after month, and realizing that we have not been able to manifest the full share for Nevis as yet, did not sit down there and just say, well, let me just settle for this. No. He kept agitating and agitating and agitating. And when it got to the point where, we got some increase, and we get increase again, but we are still not at the level of the fair share. We continue to agitate for that, because that is what we told the people of Nevis that we are going to do. It was not a case of where the Premier decided, hey, I want to mash up this thing. No. It's a case of where the Premier has said all along, let us try our best to work within the system. Let us try our best to quietly resolve everything. So if you're quietly resolving something all the time, and you're not getting to the resolution that you need to get to, well, at some point in time, you have to say, well, look, people, this is what is going on. And that is all that we have had happen recently. So I'm very happy tonight that I saw the poster coming out saying that more money for Nevis. And we welcome the more money. And I'm hopeful that the more money that it is being said is going to be coming to Nevis, that it's going to be up to the level of the fair share for the people of Nevis. That's what I'm hopeful for. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to On The Mark. I'm your host, Troy Libert. We are moving up on 8:45. I've been talking for quite a while. We're going to open the lines in a bit. Of course, when we open the lines, the numbers to call are 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. But before I do that, I've been joined, it's a bit of a surprise to me, but I've been joined by the show's regular host, who is going to be my guest for tonight, none other than the Honorable Mark Brantley. Good night, sir, and welcome to On The Mark.
Well, thank you for having me. I know you don't need me, but I thought it important, and just to say to the public that I apologize. No, ordinarily, of course, I'm here. I try to be on a Wednesday, but Troy, thank you very much for filling in. I had another engagement, and fortunately, I was done in enough time that I could pop in and spend some time with you. I think that you have spoken so eloquently and so beautifully to the issues. I don't know that I can really do any better. But I think the people of Nevis need to appreciate that you have in Nevis a political party, the Concerned Citizens Movement, that stood up for Nevisians outside of government and that is standing up for Nevisians inside of government. We are consistent in our approach. We are saying to the people of Nevis that whether we are sitting outside in the yard or we're sitting inside at the table, we will advocate for you. Because ultimately, what else are we to do? We were sent there, and I like the way you put it, because we went to the people of the country and we said to them, there is a degree of unfairness. In fact, I will go even higher. A degree of immorality in how the citizenship and investment monies are being dealt with. And we fought against Labour and NRP on that basis. Well, if we fought on that basis and people agreed with us and voted for us, not only in 2015, but in 2020, they gave us all the seats. Well, now that we are on the inside, people expect that we will deliver on that which we have promised. And that is what we've been seeking to do. And so we have another set of people in Nevis who simply, in my view, oppose everything. That is their job, some argue, but they've been doing it now for so long, it looks like they can't do anything else, because the most foolish approach. You said to them, for example, could you join us in the fight against COVID? Could you join us as an advocate in relation to vaccination, which has been proven, scientifically proven, empirically proven to be the best defense against COVID? They say no. In fact, they put it in writing. We're not joining you. While they themselves went and took the COVID vaccine, they're not joining in trying to encourage any division to protect themselves. That tells me you don't care about people. Then we come now to this fundamental issue about the people of Nevis, not CCM. Not CCM, because I have said that if the government were to change tomorrow, the same monies that we're advocating for, whoever is in government is going to need those monies to develop Nevis.
Exactly.
So we have said, join us in that fight for Nevisians to get what belongs to them. They say no. And up and down saying, oh, you need to tell us what you did with this money that you got. I did a calculation the other day. I asked PS Door. Let me pick up my phone, because I like to have things to close to hand. I asked PS Door, could you give me a sense of the salary, pension, and wages bill for the government of Nevis each month? And he sent it to me, $8,009,489.60. $8,009,400, and I hope people out there are counting me. 6 farmers are very good in terms of the math, right? I'm not so good. But $8,009,489.60. That's how much Nevis has to find each month to satisfy its public servants and its pensioners. When you multiply that by 12, our wage bill alone is $96,113,875.20. Let's just round it off and let's say $96 million a year. You multiply that by 7 years, $672 million. You ain't build a road yet, you ain't fix the hospital yet, you ain't do nothing yet. You just paying wages. And you have an opposition in Nevis that's asking, what happened to $400 million that you get? I just using this to put it in context, because the number isn't actually 4, it is 327 million. But let's put that aside. Let's use the figure that NRP is using and say 400 million. If you got 400 million over 7 years, but over the same 7 years you spend $672 million in wages, then you have not even got enough to cover your basic wage bill. We're not talking about building any roads yet. We're not talking about building the hospital. We're not talking about any investment in network, in water, in all of the other services that the NIA provides. And so when I hear the nonsensical argument that is being advanced continually as a $400 million spread over 7 years, and that is why we continue to allow those who are at the seat of government in Bastille to get away with it. Because when Denzel Douglas was the Prime Minister, Patrice Nisbet sat with him in cabinet whilst Nevis checks were bounced by National Bank. And you were in the cabinet, Troy. You remember the Honorable Vance Amory of blessed memory was presiding over cabinet that Wednesday when all of our phones start going crazy and people are texting salary check bounce, what going on, right? They had it like a joke because they had conspired in an attempt to embarrass.
A very sinister thing.
Very sinister. And we must never forget it. They were sitting in the federal government at the time. They were sitting in the federal government when over $2 billion came in to the SIDF. Nevis got 28 million out of over 2 billion, and of that 28 million, 14 was loan. And I am not hearing the NRP speaking to these matters. They say they're new faces, but I say the same old khaki skirt, because when you look at the fact that a political party in government in Nevis is going to go to St. Kitts to borrow Nevis' own money and then try mortgage our airport. Mortgage. I don't understand if Nevis understand what I'm saying, that the SIDF under NRP, had a mortgage on the Vance Amory airport. If them not pay, you know what they do when you don't pay and you have a mortgage? Them sell the airport. They sell the airport. And so when I hear these people up and down and making noise and whatever and saying, that as if we the people of Nevis should not agitate for what is ours. We're not asking for help, we're not asking for a favor. We're saying this is ours. And a man from Brownhill is no less a man than a man from Sandy Point.
Exactly.
A man from Taba is no more man than a man from Jessops. So why people in Taba ain't got to argue because they're getting what they deserve as a citizen of this country? But if you're from Cotton Ground, you can't get what you deserve. There is something fundamentally wrong with that. And I argue against it when I was in opposition, and nobody gonna sit down with me in government. You think I could sit down in a government that bounce Nevis people check?
Never.
I could sit down in a government where $588 million came in last year and I only get 45? And I must not talk about it? And we have this ragtag army out there, this NRP, they ought to be ashamed of the lack of representation. Because on every occasion, when they could stand up for the people of Nevis, they start to find reasons not to. And that I find is very problematic. So I see this message, I myself see this message, right? That's circulated, that Nevis, more money coming to Nevis. And the narrative that I gather, some of the propagandists are now sending out, is that, Nevis get paid off. So, there is no further issue because Nevis get bought out, essentially. And I'm saying really and truly, let us reflect, Joy, for a moment, that if it were not for the agitation, if it were not for the representation, if it were not for the leadership and the standing up for Nevis, where would we be right now?
True. You know, I almost went to sing I See Money Coming Tonight, you know, because I find the whole thing to be very amusing.
But it's comical.
I mean...
You mean that is what had to happen for Nevis to benefit from what belongs to Nevis? And let me be clear. I like to use the word, pellucid. That we are still not at what was agreed. And you know, when you owe money, they got something in back pay. We got to think about all that. Because Basti has been awash in cash for years. The SIDF years were about 2010 and onwards. You're talking about 12, 13 years of surplus after surplus of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, while Nevis up here borrowing, and we got a party up here saying that's okay. That's okay.
Nevis should find innovative ways.
Well, if we must find innovative ways, how is it your brother is using a joint asset and benefiting from that? It's like me and you own a cow. And every morning you go out and milk the cow. You either drink the milk or you sell the milk. Yeah. And you tell me, by Mark, go and find some innovative way for you to make money.
You know the thing about it though, we have a lot of bright people. Because they love to say that they're bright. But nobody following them, you know. And nobody listening to them. Because people realize that the things that they're saying don't really make sense. It's just about 10 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. And I guess we'll open the lines and see who we have over there, out there looking to call in, looking to give a comment. So the lines are now open. Numbers to call 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to On The Mark. We have our first caller for the night. Caller, you are on the mark.
Good evening, Troy.
Good evening.
Sheriff, good night.
Good night to you. How are you?
I am good so far. Thank God for life. James 3, verse 1 and 2. My brethren, be not among masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. For in many things we offended all. If any man offended not in the word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Good night to Ruth Stapleton, the passing of her mom. Good night, Miss Sheriff.
Good night to you, and thank you very much, as always, for your scripture. Always a blessing. Thank you very much.
Good night. I would also like to send out condolences to Ruth on the passing of her mom. You know, condolences to you and to the entire family. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to On The Mark. Let's stick with the lines. We have another caller. Caller, you are on the mark.
Yes, good night to you, Troy and Mark.
Good night.
Yes. Okay, well, this is a Nevision speaking from Sinkit. And I just want to say, after hearing Mark speak about the monies, right? You know, it really come home to me. And I say, could you imagine that Patrice Nevis was a part of the labor movement and sit there and do nothing for Nevis? So, you know, I wonder what these people really thinking, because you're telling me we are part and parcel of the whole bundle, and you're telling me that some can get and some don't get. That can't be right. So I'm saying, Brother Mark, you continue to do what you're doing for the people of Nevis, because you're doing a good job. Trust me. And I hope that the people of Nevis, when they go to the polls, whenever the time is, they do the right thing and make sure that they keep CCM in government. Because you know why? When you got people like the NRP and those bright ladies, I heard one of them went on with a whole heap of stuff. The young lady that I think she's going to be running in Charlestown. And I wonder, where these people say they're so bright and talk so much ignorance. You know, our country needs all of us. But if we are tugging and pulling, going to nowhere, I wonder what will we get at the end of the day. Because You're telling me some are fighting for Nevis and some don't give. Whether we get or we not get. And this is something that I'm glad that a man like Mr. Brantley stood in the trenches when we had to rumble and rumble to Nevis to get our share. Something got to be wrong. You guys continue to do what you're doing, and may God continue to bless you as you in your endeavors. God bless you.
Thank you very much, caller. You have another caller, Holland? You know what just came back to mind, Mark? I remember just prior to 2013 when the then permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance made the statement that after paying salaries, that there was nothing left in the treasury, that the country was broke. That was the last few years under NRP. And when this gentleman was just talking about the struggle, and I recognize his voice, you know, and I know that he was one prior to 2013 who stood in the vanguard all of the protests and so on that we had happening here in Nevis because of the whole null and void situation and all of that. He was one who stood in the vanguard, and I could not help but remember when the permanent secretary himself came out and said, after paying salaries, that the island was broke, and that was the situation in Nevis. And even though that was the situation, the government at the time, they did not speak up, they did not have a voice, they did not advocate for the people of Nevis to share in the benefits of the CBI. They stood there and they just took it. At the time they were in a coalition government with Labour. It was CCM who stood up.
And Troy, that's the part that I find so galling, that you're sitting at the table. I mean, how you could be sitting in the kitchen and food a share, you know, bring home none for Nevis?
Exactly.
You know, I just don't understand you sitting in the kitchen, food a fly over your head, and in Nevis the PS, as you say, is saying Nevis broke. After your pay salary is nothing left. And they are in Sinkits at the federal level more concerned about bouncing Nevis people check than they are, and laughing. You're right. Laughing because they're all over social media the morning. Right? All over social media the morning. That is what they have been doing. So, brother, I don't understand this masquerade that we have going on here. No culture armor coming. But it seemed to me like some troops out extra early. Because the kind of rhetoric and the non-issues that they're raising, I listen to them sometimes and I say, well, them kind of language and that kind of approach there sounds very good if I were a politician on St. Kitts, asking for people on St. Kitts to help me to maintain a status quo that favors them over their brothers and sisters in Nevis. But if you are a politician in Nevis and you're not prepared to stand up for Nevis, and that is why I say, listen, I don't care whether people like me or not, you know, because in opposition I'm going to campaign for Nevis, in government I'm going to campaign for Nevis. That is me. I only know how to represent the people of Nevis, and I mean it sincerely, because at the end of the day, when the people say to me, well, we're done with you, I understand that. But so long as I'm on the stage, I have an obligation. And I don't understand how people want Nevisians to invest trust and confidence in them, to elect them, but they're not prepared to represent Nevisians. They're not prepared to stand up.
Let's go back to the line.
Yes.
We have a caller home. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night. Hello? Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Greetings, my beloved brothers. How you brothers doing?
Good, man.
Good, my brother.
All right. Brother Mark. And Brother Troy. Brother Mark, this thing is directed at you, my beloved brother. I sure you saw the video with the situation on the beach. Did you make any statement or anything like that, brother? I heard somebody say you made a statement on ZIZ Radio today, but I didn't heard it. But what is your stance and where you stand concerning the situation, my beloved brother?
Well, I've made a statement already. I thought it was a fulsome statement. I got the news. In fact, it was the Honorable Troy Libert who shared the news with me on Saturday. and I took some time to assess the situation and to gather some information, and I would have made a statement on Monday. My statement was very clear that the behavior is unacceptable and that we condemn that type of behavior unreservedly. And I don't think that people should take advantage of our hospitality. I think we are genuine and warm people. We welcome people to our shores, whether to visit or to live. But it would be a mistake for people to take that and to try to abuse it. So I made, I think, a statement in the circumstances which tried to be sensitive to the situation. I understand that the individuals involved have apologized to the students, to the teachers, to the coaches that were involved. And I have heard a lot of chatter thereafter, but I have asked, since the matter involved students from the St. Thomas's Primary School, involved teachers and coaches from that school and parents, I've asked the minister who's here, the Honorable Troy Liebert, and his team to gather some additional information and to inquire further by perhaps interviewing those who were there to get a clearer sense of what happened, and then of course to report further. So that was the position. People are saying the police should be involved and all of that, but police get involved in terms of criminal matters. And so what you have here really is a very unfortunate and frankly, a tragic situation that developed there. But I think that the people of Nevis have been accustomed to welcoming people to our shores for many, many years. We are a very hospitable people. We are genuine and warm people. We make people feel comfortable. And thankfully, we have really not seen any type of behavior like this, certainly here on the island in recent times. And so we have to guard against it. We have to ensure that people who come respect us and respect our values, respect our culture, respect what it is we're seeking to do, and respect our island, our rules, and our laws. And so I made it quite clear in my statement that all beaches are public and therefore available for the use and enjoyment of all of us. And so I have, I believe, done what a responsible leader would do in the circumstances and made a very strong statement. In fact, I've had very good reviews from the statement that I made, reviews that have come in from the region, frankly. Many who have said that they are really appreciative of the way that me and my government would have stood up and confronted this situation in a very direct way.
Okay, but let me ask you, cause I don't like to say things unless I stand on a strong foundation.
Yes.
But she's a consultant to the Nevis Island administration, and it is true that she get 15 G's US a month. Is that true?
My brother, anybody in St. Nevis getting 15 G's US a month. You live in a US country, you're getting 15 G's US a month? I mean, this is the kind of thing this is the kind of thing that when I hear again this Nevis Reformation Party, they just make it up and run with it, and they figure if they repeat it enough that people are going to think. So let me answer your question directly. The woman at issue was part of a team that we hired in 2020 to revamp our Nevis International Promotion Agency platform. I believe the financial secretary here would have told me that she would have worked with us between 4 to 6 months, and that ended in December of 2020. So we have no current relationship with the woman at issue, and this is about $15,000 US. That is as far-fetched as one can imagine. I confess. Yes.
Yeah, Governor, someone sent a video. I said, wait.
Yes.
My head almost come off my body. I made the statement to them. I said, listen, I am leaving New York to come to work 3 times more than that.
Well.
Because I said 15
but
Nabo,
you have called this show for years, and I know you to be a very, very sensible person. Sometimes when you hear foolishness, you just strip your mouth and you just keep walking, because some of these things sometimes I hear them and I say, really and truly, they don't even make sense. Sometimes I say, why would people go down certain roads and say certain things and operate in a particular way. Things that are so blatantly false that is not difficult to dispel them. And then when they say that, but let us remember that the NRP and the purveyors of doom have a history of falsehood. Our history of falsehood. You remember the big alarm about the cockroach infestation at one of our schools? Ivor Walters, the biggest cockroach I ever seen in my life. Because the man not only says so, the man go and find a German cockroach, a picture of a German, not a Nevis cockroach, not a Sinkits cockroach, a German. The man went to find a roach, the biggest cockroach he ever seen in my life, and he put it up on Facebook and tell the world that we have a school infested with these roaches, and this is a picture from up at the school. Had people here in a panic, people calling me from all around the world, oh my God, how you could all have Nevis children. Another thing also is a woman, a friend of mine, fool him off. Call him and tell him,
I'm glad that I get some clarification.
Now, listen to me. I have not met you. I can't recall it. Yes, I think I met you once in New York.
Yeah, when you came up in 2018.
I met you, right?
Yeah.
And at my age, thank God, the mind's still nimble, right? I am not yet at an age where I don't know what is happening around me. And if you ever hear me take up $15,000 to pay anybody, tell yourself that it is time for me to go. Something is wrong.
Right? I couldn't think.
So now let me just leave that as a friend of mine used to say. Let us put that in the out of order bundle, right?
But brother, in closing though, brother, that situation need to be investigated because brother, this is not the first time it's happening in the Federation that certain people of a different ilk outside the African persuasion believe they come and do what they want. No, brother, we can't allow that. And if it's the warranted any criminal, I don't know if I say, I only saw the video, I don't know if that's the entire video or what. Investigate it because this is how we're dealing with children and that individual. But anybody could come and say, oh, Brother Mark, I apologize to you. And they don't mean it. Apology sometimes with nothing behind it does not make any sense whatsoever. You can keep that. What I'm saying, you're supposed to have respect for the nationals. And respect must be, must be mutual. Beloved, you can't come in the next man or woman country and decide what you want to do. This is our beaches. Our ancestors fought for them beaches to be free. And no one's supposed to want to stop especially our children. No, brother, that can't happen. And it must be investigated. And Brother Troy, you're the Minister of Education, right, in the NIA. Brother, you need to investigate that matter to the fullest extent whatsoever. Leave no stone unturned. And to you, Brother Mark, do the same thing, beloved brother. So we get this thing once and for all and make sure this thing ain't happen again. I mean, you don't know what's in anybody's mind. People going to do all kind of racist things.
Exactly.
Whether now or in the future. But anytime anybody think, brother, you must put them in their places, beloved brother. Make sure people think a million times before they think that kind of behavior.
All right, now, but we got...
Thanks again for clearing up everything, brother, and I wish you, the Prime Minister, brother Sean, brother, do the best thing tomorrow, brother, in the interest of the people, St. Kitts, Nevis, beloved brother, because all of us is watching Brother Mark. Brother Mark, you're a brother who I admire and respect to the fullest. And I'm looking, brother, I don't want to see no division. I mean, we're going to have different opinion. Let's work it out and work it out now, brother. Because this political union that we have now, brother, I see that that ain't going to come if this fall apart, Brother Mark. This ain't going to come in until in the next maybe 50 to 100 years. Brother, we got something good. Let's build on it, not block it down, Brother Mark, man. Let's build. I know our differences, my beloved brother. we got to don't need this nonsense, bill and mash up. No, we got to build and make sure the foundation gets stronger and stronger. But you know what you all have to, tomorrow, and come to the Federation and say, okay, we reach this thing, and this is why we're moving forward. We put our differences aside. We still don't have our concerns, beloved brother. But we can work it out, and let us work it out now. I'm glad to hear that some money is coming, and let me say, Mr. Prime Minister, give Nevis what belongs to them. Automatic. No dilly-dallying and them thing, Mr. Prime Minister. Nevis is part of the Federation, and they must get what is theirs. Brothers, thanks again for me. Keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism our perish. One love, my beloved brothers.
All right, thank you very much, Nabu, and thank you for that. In relation to tomorrow, Troy, I know people are anxious. I know somebody's waiting. Let me just say very quickly, people are anxious, but I believe it's the second meeting, and we will have to see what happens. A lot will depend, of course, on the Prime Minister. He is the one who we have expressed concerns about certain behaviors and certain things that he has done. So we will see and determine what his response is to those issues that have been raised, and we will then be able to come. But Nabu, I will say to you in this context that while you have called on me, and yes, I have my role to play, the old people say one hand can't clap, and so we would need others as well to play their role and understand that the way of doing business that we have complained about and that we have sought privately for years to resolve, that way of doing business has to stop. And if it doesn't stop, and it won't stop, then certainly there is no foundation that we can build on. We build it on sand. And so I am very, very clear in my mind that it shouldn't have required a crisis for Nevis to get what belongs to Nevis, and we still ain't there yet. It should require leadership that understands and respects all the people of the country, whether you're from Taba or you're from Gingerland, whether you're from Newtown or you're from Low Street. Leadership that respects all, and if leadership respects all and sees the country as one country, then we wouldn't have all of this problem, We wouldn't have a Sinkits versus Nevis because people would say it is one country. But instead of that, we have somehow found leadership over the years that sees its mandate as ending at the water taxi pier or the pier in Sinkits in Bastille. And we need to change that. And until we can get to an understanding, both politically and among the populace, that we are all one people and that every man, woman, and child in this country must, and I say must, be able to benefit from the full fruits of his or her citizenship. Until we can get to that, it means therefore that we're not building something that is sustainable. And I am not going to resile from that. At my age now, I'm too old to resile from positions that I hold strongly. And so tomorrow, we will have to hear. And then, of course, I agree with you, Nabu. We will come to the public and say whether or not there is room for resolution of these outstanding issues. It cannot be right, for example, that we are part of a government and that there are people who are being empowered to attack members of the same government that we are part. How that could be right?
Can't be right.
We have people, we have an ambassador, for example, who goes on radio, has the highest ambassadorial position in the country, and goes on radio and bashes people in the cabinet. How could that be right? You have individuals on the government payroll, paid monthly by Unity, whose job it seems is to attack Mark Brantley, attack Sean Richards, attack Alexis Jeffers in Nevis, and they're paid monthly by the same government. These things cannot be right. And if it is wrong to speak out about them, then I am wrong. But I can't sit down and say this is my comrade, this is my colleague, this is my leader, this is my friend, this is my partner. I'm in coalition with you. If you are using the resources, the very resources of the government, well, try how you would feel if you know that the Premier's office is paying a man every month and the man's job is to attack you. How would you feel when you walk into the cabinet, you're sitting down with me, and I am paying somebody, and their job is to attack you?
Can't be a nice feeling at all.
And that is the reality. So when people are there talking about people mashing up unity, people have to understand what it is we have been dealing with. And it isn't for want of talking, or these things came public because of years of talk internally have not borne any fruit. Not borne any fruit. So now, boy, I hear you, and we trust in God, and we hope for His guidance and His wisdom.
Okay, let's go back to the lines. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the mark. Hello.
Hey, good night.
Good night.
Hey, Mr. Brantley, this Red Cap here. Troy, what's up?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
What's up, brother?
Oh, your boy here. Everything good?
Yes, man.
Okay, why really, man? It was a really unfortunate situation with that lady on the beach, right? Very unfortunate. But what I want to ask, does that lady live close to the beach, or, she live, like, anywhere, like, close? That's all I want to know. I'm not going to say much tonight. I'll listen to you off here. Have a nice one.
All right. My understanding is that the lady owns some kind of condominium or something that is, yes, on the ocean front. That's my understanding.
Caller, you there? Okay. Let's go back to the lines. We have another caller. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Yes, good night again, Mark. Mr. Brantley, I want to ask you, does Mr. Pakis Nevis was the Attorney General at the time when the people of Nevis check was bounced?
No, I don't think he was an AG then. He was Minister of Foreign Affairs, if memory serves. So he had a big work.
Yeah, but just could you imagine that Minister of Foreign Affairs, and he didn't care nothing about Nevis? Something got to be wrong with these guys' brain. They need to get a brain makeover, because I can't believe that a Nevision could fight against their own country. To make sure that they stay down because they was in a position.
But brother, you see, the mistake that was made then by the NRP is the same mistake that they're making now. They saw bouncing the checks not as an act against divisions, They saw it as a way to embarrass the CCM government. Just like now, they're out there making a ton load of noise because their objective is not about the people of Nevis. They're trying to score points against the CCM. That is their concern. They seem to feel that if Nevis gets its fair share of what it should get, to which it is entitled, that is the CCM getting the money. That Mark and Troy gonna get the money.
There you go.
It is the people of Nevis. And until they realize that and can make that transition. So when they bounce the check, as far as they were concerned, they didn't bother to think that NRP people work for government too.
Exactly.
And them check a bounce same way. They figure, oh, people gonna say, laugh at Vance and laugh at CCM. That is what they were consumed with. So Troy is here, because he and I were in cabinet with the Honorable Vance Amory, leading cabinet the day when it happened. It was a Wednesday. And when it happened that Wednesday, they were all over social media laughing.
Exactly.
When people don't know how they're going to pay the child payment, so they're going to run Rams and buy little food, they were laughing. That is what they were doing, because they thought, let's see CCM take that. You hear that? Let's see CCM take that. One of them said to me to my face on this whole COVID vaccine thing, she not take no vaccine for Mark Brantley. I say, well, I don't understand that, because I thought they're taking the vaccine for you.
You know what's funny?
Mr. Brantley, that's the problem I have with our people when we are so blind that we can't see. It's like 3 blind mice, And it's like, I hope that the people of Nevis now will exactly tell them that we don't need people who don't care about us. We need people who are looking after the interests of the people of Nevis. Because if you as the government don't look after the interests of the people then will determine whether they need you, yes or not. So I think the NRP folks is only blowing hot here, because at the end of the day, my grandmother always tell me, only empty drum make the most noise. So if they are the people so that they love Nevis and prefer to see Nevis go under, something got to be wrong with them. Because anybody that wants to see Nevis stay afloat, they will always work on the best interest of the people of Stinkington Nevis. May God bless us with Nevis. May God bless you as you continue to work on the behalf of the people of Nevis, because those are the people who send you to Bastia. Those are the people who elect you to govern. So may God bless you as you continue to do the best for the people of Nevis. God bless you. Have a good one.
Thank
you
you.
very much, caller. Do we have anybody else holding? We have another caller holding. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night. Hello, caller, you're on the mark.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chai?
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, Honorable Mark Brantley, and soon to come the next Honorable Chai Everett. You know who's speaking? Chai?
No, I'm not picking up the voice.
Eh? Where you laugh? SK.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I used to live with Video, right?
Yeah, man.
I want to say, I was in Nevis last week, and I was in Nevis today. And I felt so good. I had to ask people, where this be? Where that be? But I like to say also, my condolences going out to the Honorable Vance Amory and his family.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell the Premier something. He's doing a wonderful job in Nevis. I shocked. And most people I speak to today in Nevis, you got to be all MCCM. When I say that, because there's no NRP again in Nevis. Everybody saying, I said the big building number in the market. When they tell me, the guy said, man, Mark Brantley ain't going anywhere. And Premier, tomorrow morning in that meeting, please grab me the favor. You, the Prime Minister and Sean Richards, look up before you step in that door. And remember, God is there with you all. And God gonna solve the situation. Don't mind the nitty-gritties, but you don't have the nitty-gritties, you have the people going to talk and say all kind of manners and evil. But put people first, and Premier, you're there for so long because the Honorable Mark Brantley left you with a spoon to feed people and never turn over that spoon upside down. Yeah, only one thing I see, my eyesight, and I know that you have a lot on your shoulder, but please for me and to the people nearest, please, I had a chance to see the Vance Amory Airport, and I said to myself, my mothers, not, when I say my mothers, not like saying, well, I'm vexed or upset, but you see the terminal, just get a little brush up, make it look nice in memory of the Honorable Vance Amory. But for me, you're doing such a wonderful job, and please, grab me a favor, please, put God first. He is the head of everything, and he's gonna solve that situation tomorrow. So when you're at the meeting, who can come on the stage and say all kind of thing? They have nothing to say. Yeah? And God, remember, God is first, please, Premier. Don't go in your hasted and asking the Prime Minister, Sean Richards, please sit down and just reason things, because at the end of the day, it's people you have to come back out here and face. Please, I'm asking you. Oh, and let me tell you, Mark Brantley, I realized last week you normally have a California from St. Kitts, but I don't believe you have the California no more, because no more song there to sing. And the California don't want me. The guy will come and sing the song them for you. It seems like, well, if they turn it back on Christ, very simple you. Have a good evening, and Premier, please, Joy, please tell the Premier, put God, put him first. Vance, I don't want to say it, but the death of Vance Amory should bring us one federation together. And if people sit down, sometimes when I hear people say they're in college and they're intelligent, I just streetwise, and I see the situation you're calling about. It ain't money for your pocket. It ain't money it's money for the people of Nevis. It's money, and I mean, if it's fair share, I'm giving it fair share. And let's run this thing together. Because it seems to me like the other political parties, they're laughing. Because you know why? The door ain't closed more. The door seems to be open. But I know God gonna close that door tomorrow. And Premier, stand tall, stand tall, stand tall. T-A-L-L. Stand tall, L-O-V-E, love, A-L-L, all. Good night, sir. Have a good evening anyway home.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother, and good to hear from you. Let us stick with the lines. We have another caller. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Hello, good night.
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead.
Good night, Troy. Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Good night. Good night.
Mr. Brantley, I must commend you and your team for the way you all been standing up. Now, I could recall hearing you speak about the Nevis Accord. And there, I'm calling from Sinkit, but I am a division born in Nevis. And there's a lot of people down here getting the facts twisted. Now, I met a lady the other day and she's saying, oh, Nevis ain't deserve to have. And some of them not understanding what the problem is. And I see where the problem is that the Prime Minister signed an agreement. And now that he signed the agreement, he's looking at other avenues to run away from the agreement. Now, if the Constitution decides this and the Constitution decides that, why then did you sign off on an agreement that it's clear that you didn't intend to honor? Also, the geothermal energy project over there, Honorable Man. If Nevis was getting its fair share of the SIDF money, I mean the citizen by investment money, by now you all would have been able to get that geothermal project up and running, innit?
You would have been able to do many things, brother. Many things.
And as I'm speaking here tonight, I sure there are people in Nevis who cannot afford to pay their electricity. Some of them want this, some of them just cannot afford. And with the geothermal energy in place, many of us here in the Federation would have been able to pay a lot less on our electricity bills. Now to the NRP, I could also recall, traditionally we from St. Kitts, but I born in Nevis, but I grew up here in St. Kitts. I born in Nevis, but I grew up in St. Kitts. Traditionally, we come over during the cultural army event and we celebrate over there with our brothers and sisters and with cousins and whatnot. And you were talking about the NRP sabotaging, sitting the government at the time with Denzel Douglas when they had bounced the check. But y'all seem to forget. You forget when they sit there in cabinet and support Douglas putting bands on the road for August Monday.
Juve morning.
Yeah. Discourage people from coming over by the little goat water and the little barbecue and the little whatnot to damp Nevis economy. And what the NRP need to do right now is shut up and find themselves behind the blue machine and follow and support NRP and CCM for standing up for Nevis like that. Right now, what the NRP is doing and saying is irrelevant to all of us. They need to shut up, dissolve the party for now, restructure it, find yourself behind CCM and come back later. Thank you.
All right, my brother. But try this gentleman jog me memory for you, because again, NRP sat in the federal government and arranged a Juve in St. Kitts to damage the Juve, traditional Juve in Nevis. They are jamming in the streets and boy, I tell you, this NRP here need to go to church and what they call it, confession. They need confession because some of these things I don't even remember.
These here would say they don't know anything about it. This
that's what they say.
So-called new NRP, they would say they don't know anything about it. But same old, as my good NRP friend would say, it's the same old bus up manga and the same old bun up cane. Nothing different.
All right.
Not a thing different. When I think about some of these things and some of the talk that the NRP is out there pushing, and you have to wonder why they're pushing that type of talk. You listen to them and they're saying things like, oh, Nevis don't deserve that share. I heard one of my good friends, a strong supporter of the NRP, say, but I don't want to get that fair share why I talk about, because if I get a fair share, I will fix up Nevis. I will fix up Nevis with the money there.
So that's the fear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then if I fix up Nevis, then what's going to happen to NRP? So it's more about them and less about the people of Nevis. Well, let the fair share come over and let us fix up Nevis. And if you have good ideas for carrying Nevis forward, come to the people with your good ideas and tell the people, put me in government because I have good ideas. But these people, they're saying, oh, we don't want this money to come over, because if it come over, CCM going to do good things for the people of Nevis with it. And then they don't care and get in.
Well, I just got a note from a friend of mine. You know what he said? We must stop talking about fair share. Because what is fair to one person may not be fair to the next. Also, that some people misunderstand what Nevis is talking about. He said what we should talk about is the language that was used in the Charleston Accord, a pro rata population share, because that is easy for everybody to understand. If Nevis has 25% of the population and Sinkis has 75% of the population, that's easy mathematics. Sinkis gets 75% of the money and Nevis get 25% of the money.
Simple.
And this caller who called in, I thought made a very, very, cogent point, because we now hear chatter about what the Constitution says. Every person who signed the Charleston Accord
they know what the Constitution
in 2014 knew what the Constitution of 1983 says. They signed it anyway because that was an agreement that we made. So you have to accept that we knew what the Constitution provided, but we said, listen, to fix the problem that we were addressing of the inequity to the people of Nevis, let us enter into this accord, this pact, this agreement. And then you see now people trying to resile from that. The same agreement that they used, the same agreement that they used to get to where they wanted to get, they now say is no good. And that is the difficulty that I have when we talk about people honoring their word. Listen, Troy, if your word is meaningless, then nothing else about you matters.
Exactly. Let's go back to the lines. We have a caller. Oh, we lost the caller. Okay. So, Mark, I don't understand why NRP keep operating the way they operate. You come to the people, you talk a certain way, the people reject you. You come back again, and you come with the same old talk. For instance, we had this little situation that the caller spoke about earlier. I got a call from a good friend of mine. Good and happy friend too, Good and happy friend. She said, "Top brass, how you going?" I said, "Top brass? What that mean?" She said, "So you ain't see the thing?" Then immediately she sent me a WhatsApp. Because you said that education would investigate the little matter. They take a picture of me and they put on a police cap, and I found it to be hilarious. But somehow the agents of the NRP thought that they would put this out to insult me. I found it very funny. People have made stickers with it, and we're using the stickers in my WhatsApp now when we're talking. But the thing about these people is they're always looking to insult somebody. They're always looking to find some way to demean or to insult or to say something about somebody. Sometimes I go on Facebook or somebody would screenshot a Facebook clip, and the way how they write things, it's very, very condescending. And you don't see us doing that over here on the CCM side, because we respect the electorate. We respect that every single person that's a registered voter, every single person that is eligible to vote, that they have one vote just like all the rest of us. We respect them, we respect their opinions. So when we come to talk to people, we talk facts, we talk straight. And when we come to represent people, we represent for the whole of Nevis. And we have been saying that it cannot be fair that 1 to 8 get all the full trappings of citizenship, and that 11 to 9 not getting it can't be fair. And that's all that we have said. And I don't understand how anybody in Nevis could say something wrong with that. We have a caller holding. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you are on the mark. Good night.
Yes, good night. I was saying this thing here with what the gentleman was saying earlier. We think it with the Juve. It was true, very true. I'm older than you, no, Mark. I'm older than you. It was very true. Harry, keep that, because he never wants Tinkies people to take part of Nevis Culturama. So the gentleman is right. He's correct.
Well,
But a living station.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And that
you're welcome.
Yes.
Yes. And then what hurt The long time in the long run. But Nevis people, some of them, they have to wake up and smell the coffee. You understand? Because what happened? When NRP were in and never doing anything, nobody was complaining. They take what Parry give them without any question asked. So why now? Because you all in now and building up building up Nevis so good. Huh? But you know what happened? God cannot and Jesus cannot do enough for some of us. And not just so with the politicians them as well and the people. You understand what I'm saying?
All right. Well,
when I come here in Nevis, Mark, when we come here in Nevis, if Nevis was like now can we be right now? Me not move. And when I come up there I do not want to come back. How beautiful and nice Nevis is. And me know you are gonna continue. Do the best how you can, just like God and Jesus. For the people and for Nevis. Some of us is so ungrateful. Not because me overseas, but me heart still in Nevis.
Mm-hmm.
And me can be ungrateful to you all. Because you know what? Me have family there too. And them a benefit the goodness of you all as well. And when me come there, but for the corona, I may not take no vaccine. Sorry to tell you that.
You need to take your vaccine.
But far from that?
Yes.
No,
go ahead.
Any far from that, me love me Nevis. And me love me people them.
All right.
But we have to be realistic and smell the coffee. And let Paris stop on the sidewalk. And you know what happened to? It's a bunny shame that he lived there too. And he walking and driving on the same good road. And the same good things what you are performing for Nevis and them people. But he lived there and he have benefit out of them too. And as well as Paris people them have benefit out of it as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Troy, let me do a quick announcement, please. I have something here. Said, does anyone want to be in a movie on Monday? MSR said they need people to stand up and look on at a concert. You must be in Christmas beach attire. I don't know what that means, but Christmas beach attire. 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday, and they're paying $150 EC.
That's easy money.
Yeah, that's easy money for you. You can call. They're also looking for actors. You can call 664. Let me get it here. 664-3256. So I just wanted to do that little plug because it's an easy $150 to make on Monday if you are available. It's Easter Monday, so if people are available.
But, you know, think about it, man. But look how so many movies being made in Nevis now.
But
Nevis is now the hot spot in the Caribbean for making movies.
They say nothing happening, but look at that. When I go to the set the other day, Troy, and I see youngsters like Doval Drew and Tishan, I think it's Wilkin, his surname is Von Anslin. You know, I mean, you see people there and you say these are divisions, our brothers and sisters, and they know in the movie business in a very real way, a very significant way. And how they would have got that opportunity otherwise. And so this is what you talk about. I met a young lady the other day and talking to her. She's a graduate from Earth University in Costa Rica. And I reflected that I sat with Ann Bass of blessed memory and negotiated with her 7 scholarships to Earth University. I went to the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, who was then Minister of Agriculture and still is Minister of Agriculture. I said, Zook, you know, that's what we call him. I said, I have these things here for you. And that partnership has yielded graduates. She said she would do 2 in the first instance so they'd have some company. And people are coming back and you know, you look at these are life-changing types of interventions, helping people, ensuring that our people are on the right track. Clearly, we don't always get it right, but a government must be judged in a fair way in terms of, listen, what are your successes, what are your failures, what are the things you have not yet delivered on. And I continue to say, and I said it to somebody up to tonight at the function that I attended, try when you see you're in government and people have to go back 8 and 10 and 20 years to try and find something to say about you. You know that your time in government has been well spent. Because they can't find a thing to say about us. Not a thing they could find to say about us. So that is why they're going around trying to make things up.
Let's go back to the lines. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the mark tonight. We've lost a caller. Callers, please be patient with us. Numbers to call 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to On The Mark. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you are on the mark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm interested to listen to you and Mark Brantley tonight. Mark Brantley, remember when Patchy Level was dragging people name on the same show? What did you say? Let's go to memory lane. You had nothing to say. So what are you balling for? God doesn't sleep, Mark Brantley. You remember when you said things people must keep out of Nevis? You forget? Let's start with memory. Because you come with a short memory. You're very selfish. You're all about yourself. Let's start, Mark Brantley, because you're going to come in the place. When Patchy's Labour was dragging people name all over on that show, you said nothing. I called you so many times to tell about Patchy's behavior. When Patchy breached international airport security, you said nothing. You, Mark Brantley, said you put the report in cabinet and you went back to check. You remember you tell me about that?
Let me intervene for a second. Because on the one hand you're claiming that nothing was said, and then on the other hand you're saying that...
no, let me speak, please. Let me speak.
Hold on, caller. Hold on.
Everybody was talking, brother.
Hold on, caller. Hold on. Take it easy. Take it easy. I asked you to let me make an intervention, right?
Make an intervention.
All right. No, man, you don't have to me and you get on good, you know? You don't have to be so aggressive tonight. Because Mark out here, you're so aggressive.
Oh, you know
all I was pointing out to you, right?
Mark is a private section when the ID from the airport, you know about it too. People are supposed to eat on the Mark.
So you got a gripe.
Who this Mark will be? Who be?
You're not the voice? You're not with that kind of thing. But it's me good partner, man. You're coming over for Culturama.
The person running from all the time, Mark Brantley.
And who's running from?
Yes, listen, man. When Patches was disrespecting people...
But you said that 3 times already. You want to say it a 4th time?
And I can tell you something else again.
Yes, go ahead.
You come down there, you're looking for Nevis for your share. You must stop being so dishonest. What happened on the beach with a white man? What did you do? What did you say? What did you do? Nothing. Because it's a shame.
All right, caller. This is not, Culturama coming, but we're not really practicing. Caller. Culturama is coming, but we're not yet practicing for the clown troupe. Listen, could you just dump this call, because this is a waste of time. Caller, this is a show for big people, and we discuss big ideas. All right. This is not no really kindergarten program.
He get aggressive.
And I don't understand what is wrong. I don't know who the person is. But the bottom line, caller, is this. If you're going to call in, and you're going to call in on a big show with big people and prime time, prepare yourself. I have said to callers before, perhaps I've even said to you, that the place to practice for the clown troupe, for Culturama, is not here. Go on a park, go practice that. Or come up here in Nevis and go ETW, go practice that. You understand? This is not some show for some Roro and Rere. This is a show where we have reasonable people having reasonable discussions. And you're jumping all over like a cat on a hot tin roof. You're going from fish here to some white woman. I don't know what the connection is. And if you were listening to the show earlier, that issue has been already addressed. Statement was made by the Premier of Nevis. What more you want me to do? So, caller, I beg you, right? Take it easy, drink some water, relax yourself, all right? Now let's move on and see if we can get callers that are calling in that, really have some contribution to make to the national debate that is ongoing in the country.
Okay, let's go back to the lines. We have another caller. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Mark Brantley, the same one of Park where you said was a waste of time. Look at Grove Park. Fix up Grove Park, Mark Brantley. Stop thinking about yourself.
Caller, okay, thank you again for your intervention. Tonight is free calls. Flora, did you say that free calls tonight? Because I don't understand. Caller, the reference to Water Park and ETW was to give you a space to practice for the clown troupe that you're leading. It wasn't meant for any other reason, So lighten up, okay? Take it easy. I don't even know who the person is running from there.
I don't know. I know the voice.
Oh, you know the voice?
He call in regularly, and when he call in, he don't give me such a hard time, but I guess it's because you're here tonight.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, let's see who else is on the line and wants to talk to us.
Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Hey, good night, Charlie.
Good night. How are you, my brother?
And good night again, I will be Mark Brantley. Good night.
Good night, my brother. Good to hear you.
I'm here listening now. Now, Mark, I in the politics is a very chicksy game. And I follow politics and since in the census coming up under the farmer administration with Mr. Bratcher and come up to Douglas and Dr. Simmons and all those. And I know politics is very chicksy. And politics is very smart. Now, we're talking about, if somebody calling talk about the bunch strip for Nevis, right? Under the farmer administration. When Patrick is because I think was the minister of the NRP. Talking about the bunch strip, yeah, I was in government. Now, that check bounce because to bring down the CCM. You understand? But I made to understand now the same farmer leader we was doing now, we bounce the check. I made to understand he and he's a good friend. Nothing wrong with that. But politically and everything that sitting in politics and anything can happen. And if anything you and that same farmer leader could join up and form a government. You understand? So when we bring in the stomach and talking about this and talking about that, sometimes the politicians then just put us against one another. And then when it comes to certain things now, behind the back is a different story with maybe you or anyone the politician in any political party. So I kind of think that I wish that this unity could move forward and we all could get together tomorrow and do what we have to do to work out something for the ordinary woman and man in the Federation as St. Nevis. Because I feel that this is the only way I see St. and Nevis could pay attention to and unity administration. We know what happened in the past. The campaign that it talked about it in the past. You know, especially the CBI program and the passport and the passport you the campaign and we talk all about that. So if we now go back to the we left to the region, I don't know what things the community enough. I'm talking about the CBI program. I believe the CBI program is published too much now. And I believe that one of these like the Europe and all these things where we should spend time, I believe that one of these will just stop. And we will have nothing to depend on but our own tourist industry and maybe our own agriculture industry in the Federation. So I believe that you all as big men simmer down and do what you all have to do for the people of this country. It's not about all. We let all people do the job. And we respect that. You are doing a good job. And I would just like to see you sit down with the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister listen to you all and work out whatever to the best of the ordinary man and woman in the Federation. Anyway, you all have a wonderful night. God bless the Federation. I think it Nevis. And God bless you all. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, I don't know where the notion that Dr. Douglas and I are friends comes from. I have not cultivated any enemies in politics. I have not tried to. And so I suppose on that analysis, I'm friends with everyone. But I want to be very clear that my politics has been my politics, and I've been very consistent with my politics over the years. And so I am not sure, my good friend, Mr. Politics, you're not usually wrong in politics, but you're making, I think, some insinuations which are inaccurate. And I would just wish, as you say, that the parties sit. Tomorrow we shall know, and the nation shall know, whether or not we have been able to resolve issues one way or the other. Issues will be resolved. Because, as I've said, it's either resolution or dissolution. And I'm not resigning from that position because that is the stark truth. So, we will have to work things out and pray for God's wisdom and guidance as we navigate these very choppy waters. But I keep saying that the problems have been problems of our own creation. Unity has been the best political idea the country has had probably since independence. And if we had people of goodwill operating who are prepared to keep their promise and keep their word and their commitment to each other and to the country, we wouldn't have a problem. We really wouldn't have a problem. But try, the phones are lighting up. It looks like you need another 2 hours tonight. But all right,
let's go back to the lines. Yes. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Could you speak up a bit, please?
Hi, good evening, Honorable Charles and Troy and Honorable Brantley.
Good evening.
Question: would the Honorable Ambassador Vance Amory, would he be laying state?
Yes, he will.
In both islands?
I believe that is the expectation at this point, but we will wait to hear something formal in a few days.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right.
Thank you very much, caller. Do we have another caller holding? Yes, we do. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you are on the mark. Good night.
Hi, good night.
Yes, good night.
Yes, good night. I saw recently, tonight itself, that the federal government has given the NIA additional budgetary support. Can the Premier shed some light on that, for us, please, the amount that was given, and when that was done? Finally, for his meeting tomorrow morning with the Prime Minister and the Honorable Sean Richards, how is preparation going, and what can the public expect from that meeting from the Premier's perspective? Nevis, nice.
Thank you very much. In terms of the additional, I don't like the language of budgetary support, because if you're giving me what belongs to me, you're not supporting me. You're giving me what belongs to me. So I think that's the first thing I have a problem with. But the language aside, Nevis was getting a $3.75 million each month as an interim measure while we try to work out the formula that had been agreed upon, which is a pro rata population. St. Kitts getting 70-75%, Nevis getting 25-30%. That was always the plan, that was the agreement, that was the Charleston Accord. So we're getting $3.75 million per month. In January, I would have written to the Prime Minister and said to him, listen, in light of the money that is being made and what I consider to be the foot dragging on the issue of finalizing the pro rata share, that I would wish the monthly amount to increase to $5.5 million, and that should continue until June, because that for me was the deadline that I was suggesting for Nevis to finally resolve this issue. And if I'm speaking this way, please understand that since I became Premier in December of 2017, I have been seeking a resolution on this issue, letter after letter, engagement after engagement with the office of the Prime Minister. And so what happened today was that a check came over from St. Kitts today with the $5.5 million. Well, actually, it's not that. The check that came over was from January, February, March, the balance that would have been owed. Mm-hmm. So I think the check total $5.25 million, representing the additional amounts from January, February, and March. Because notwithstanding I wrote the letter in January, we still got the same 3.75. February, 3.75. March, 3.75. And today, clearly the day before we are supposed to meet in Bastille tomorrow, the check comes over, and then I see a big announcement goes out, say money come for Nevis, money coming for Nevis. So I think the public needs to understand the cynicism that really, there is here, honestly, on this side of Nevis, some real concern, because these are matters that could be resolved with goodwill, resolved with integrity. But we have a meeting tomorrow morning and a check came over. Today, the Financial Secretary in Nevis called me and said a check has arrived. And then I see a big announcement come up, money come to Nevis. So I don't know what that really is meant to do, and why the need for some brouhaha over that. So, Carl, I want to be very clear that as far as I'm concerned, Nevis is in this battle because Nevis had certain commitments made to Nevis. Notice I'm not saying CCM. Nevis had certain commitments made to Nevis and the people of Nevis. And so long as I am the Premier of Nevis, in or out of the federal government, I will stand up and say that those commitments have to be honored. And that is my clear position. And if I'm wrong, then I ask God to forgive me. But I believe that I'm on the right track and that the people of Nevis, who are right-thinking members of this society, are going to be supportive of leadership that stands firm in their interests, not in mine, but in their interests. And that is what this for me is all about. And so that is the sequence of events, Caller, in relation to a check that came to Nevis today. In fact, one of the checks that came, 2 checks came, I'm sorry. One is dated today. So that one, the fresh cut, dated today. I wrote my letter, I believe it was in January. And today is the, what's the date today? 13th of April. So, maybe it's coincidence that we have a meeting in the morning and the check came today. That will be for history to judge.
I think we could take about 2 or 3 more calls. Let's go back to the line. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
The biggest clown in Parliament is Mark Brantley and Timothy.
I flow them need to stop this free calling, you know.
Let's go back to the line.
Stop it.
See if we have anybody else holding. Caller, you're on the mark. Good night.
Yes, you have somebody holding, Mr. Lywood. You have a guest there, Mark Brantley, who is an acquaintance of mine, and for some reason or the other, I don't know if he's lost his smartphone or something, but I've sent him a very important WhatsApp recently, and he has not even read it. So I don't know if he needs a change of glasses, if he's wearing glasses or whatever. Maybe he can tell me what is going on.
I just look for it now.
Oh, you found your phone. Now you have too many of them, man.
No, I have the phone, but sometimes the messages overwhelm me. So as I catch a voice, I go and I type in the name quick, and you're right. There is a message that came in.
Okay, well, I'll hang up then.
Yes, it came in since Monday. So I will answer you, sir. My apologies.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So you get all kind of things resolved here and on the mark. Do we have another caller? Caller, you're on the mark. I think we could take one more after this caller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, haven't called the show in a while, but I had to listen tonight because I'm just as interested as anybody else in what positions are going to be taken tomorrow in the meeting. I think we all should be offended when a representative of the people, paid by taxpayers of this country, seem to be thin-skinned, and whenever the said taxpayers hold them accountable, there's a tendency to ridicule them, right? I mean, who is the servant and who is the master here? One of the reasons I stopped calling into this program was I asked Mr. Brantley about the behavior of that same ambassador, and his response was to throw insults. And it's very good that I think he seemed to have come around to what everybody was saying then, that this person was uniquely unqualified to be our ambassador. I would also put it to Mr. Brantley that one of the main reasons we are in this predicament is that the good governance agenda, especially as it regards to accountability, to openness and transparency in government, that has been essentially neglected. Okay? And so after the meeting tomorrow, can citizens expect a change in that respect? I mean, we can't have ministers in a cabinet not knowing the state of the country's finances. And this has been going on for some time. I mean, you make an issue of the Deputy Prime Minister being absent from cabinet for 2 months. In my estimation, the whole cabinet from the Prime Minister down is culpable here in being neglectful. And finally, I get the impression that tomorrow a plaster is about to be put on a very deep sore. And I think just having 3 politicians involved in an issue as important as this is the wrong approach. Okay, I think a more comprehensive solution should have been sought to the issues involved, which include relations and resource sharing between St. Kitts and Nevis. And some of it might involve constitutional change, right? We should not have just 3 politicians who are at loggerheads in a meeting as important as this. And I think it should be expanded to facilitate that comprehensive solution, which, because we always keep kicking the can down the road, okay, and wait until the next flare-up to talk about these issues. It's time to settle them once and for all. Okay then. Okay.
Thank you very much, caller. You have a response, sir?
Well, he didn't say anything that I think warrants a response. He clearly felt he needed an opportunity to be on the mark. So welcome back. He's somebody that I used to converse with every week. Some people used to tell me cut him off, so I'm surprised now he said he stopped calling because I'm disrespectful. When people call used to say cut you off, I said no, you had an opportunity to say what you had to say. So I don't know when I became disrespectful, but the bottom line for me is this. Let us understand that this is a big stage. Big people discussing big ideas. And if you're not ready for this, it's like sometimes you have Kiddies Carnival and then you have the big parade. It's a different situation. You have, junior Kaiso and you have senior Kaiso. That's the reason they have the categories. You have under 15 cricket and then you have senior cricket. So if you're not ready for senior cricket, that's all I'm saying. Stick with the juniors until you get ready. So I don't know if you find that insulting or whatever, that's a matter for you. But you used to call the show here and take up the most time on the show. And nobody ever insulted you and nobody ever hung up on you and you had your say. For whatever reason you stopped calling the show, perhaps because you couldn't persuade anybody. I don't even know if you can persuade yourself. So maybe that is the issue that you have. As to tomorrow, I find everybody is full of advice. But we will have to work things through. And for my own purposes, I rely on my team and I rely on the grace of God and the prayer warriors who have been out there praying for Nevis, praying for me, praying for the CCM, and praying for our country. That is who I am relying on. But thank you for your suggestions, nevertheless.
I have to make an announcement because I did neglect at the top of the show when I advertised all the events happening on the weekend. I neglected to advertise the big pool tournament that we're having in St. Thomas's Parish. And this is being presented by none other than Latoya Jones. And this is happening on Saturday, April 30th. Oh, it's not this weekend. It's the following weekend. So it's Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st. Everybody can come and support and watch. But the tournament itself is limited to persons resident in St. Thomas's Parish. So this is going to be happening on the 30th of April and on May 1st. However, come Friday, we have the big kite flying competition on the flats. I want everybody to come out, bring your kites. Remember, the prizes are going to be bigger this year. Come Saturday and Sunday over on VOJM grounds. The Honorable Alexis Jeffers is going to be having a domino tournament and a big cricket tournament. And the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, the St. Kitts Nevis Drag Racing Association, they are going to be having drag racing activities over at the St. James Raceway. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a wonderful show tonight. I want to thank my co-host, the Honorable Mark Brantley, for coming on and keeping my company here. It's always good to have company. We had a wonderful show this evening. If you didn't catch the show tonight, you can catch the show tomorrow at 1. Do have a wonderful night.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.